The artist recreates the world.
Welcome to the Artist Recreates the World.
Okay.
I am with an artist that is going to introduce herself because I will jack that name up.
Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Kaia N. Shivers. People call me Kaia for short.
Wow.
So you can call me Kaia.
Kaia.
Yeah. Got to have Kaia now. Kaia. You know that song?
I think I need some coffee, yo. So we're gonna start with Arc Republic first.
Oh yes.
Well, tell us about that. That is very interesting. I don't know what's going on, but I know you're a part of it. I got to go back to your blog. All right. And
yes.
What was the name of it again?
360. Wait, Bricks 360. Bricks 360.
This writing on this blog was phenomenal. All right.
Thank you.
That's all I can say. It's
appreciate
powerful.
it.
And people can still access it, right?
You can still access it. It is BRICKS360.com. I started the blog. I live in Newark, but I'm from South Central Los Angeles, land of the scandalous. No, so I started it. Bricks 3. No, wait, hold up. Is it did they turn? Wait, is it Bricks 350 or 360? No, it's Bricks 350. It's Bricks 350. I'm sorry. Newark turned 350 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Bricks 350, 350.
As long as we got it right.
Yeah. So bricks350.com. I started it I started it alongside the commemoration of Newark turning 350 years old. And the reason why I started it was one of the things I do. Oh my God.
So good.
One of the things I do is I am a media scholar.
Oh, that's what
and and I'm a media ethnographer, and my site of research was Newark. And the type of media ethnography that I do is that it's essential that you give back to the community in which you built your scholarship.
Yeah.
So Bricks 350 was like my ode back to Newark. I think it's a dynamic, very interesting, vibrant city, and often I don't think the people are captured.
Right, and that's exactly what you did. That's what I was going to say. Those stories, those personal stories were there.
Right.
They were strong. They were powerful.
I appreciate it.
And they were thorough.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, the idea was to do 350 features in 350 words, but I only got I got to 50. Yeah, exactly.
The numbers and the reality of actually doing that.
And you know what it is that I started writing as a journalist back in the 90s, early 90s, and what was salient then that is still prominent now is that we are not featured. So when I would do these, what I thought were short interviews with these folk, it would be like 3-4 hours later, and they're still telling me their story, which then made my features longer and longer and longer. And so I only got to 50. I was thinking about it, like how do I finagle that, finish it, because I do want to finish it. But that's Bricks 350.
I think you'll get back to it over a period of time.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the movie briefly.
Mm-hmm.
I had a chord.
Yes.
She's your talent. I mean, we're going to have to do like 3 interviews. Talk about the movie briefly if you can. It was very powerful.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
I really like the way you wear your hats.
Oh, thank you.
They're so dope.
I like that too.
This is like doperific. Doperific right here.
Oh my. See? A writer, they could just create words. Oh my God.
Yeah. And your beard reminds me of my dad. My dad has this really bomb, beautiful, like all white beard. It is just beautiful. It's so Obatala-ish. Which leads me to...
I love that. Because and I don't want to get sidetracked, but when I grew this beard, it's so funny how the culture can't react to it. If you're too old, so they can understand you as an old, white, gray-bearded man, but they only can relate to Santa Claus, but they don't relate to. Yeah, it was funny. So that's interesting that you will use that term, that Orisha, which is very, very powerful.
Very powerful.
And way, way, way. I mean, we can't even compare it to Santa Claus, but.
Oh yeah, Obatala, in a lot of ways, is equated to Jesus.
Yes, right.
But what's up, Jerry? How you doing? Come on, sit
I'm
down.
about to go.
Oh, you about to go?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. What y'all doing? Just hanging and
No,
we
we're just doing an interview.
We doing an interview.
This has been about like 2 years, son.
We doing a Negro interview.
Yeah.
A Negro interview. Come into this Negro interview.
Oh boy.
This is fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey y'all. The film. It is actually a documentary series or a docu-series. The umbrella title is Orisha in the Ghetto. Orisha in the Ghetto started as a poem that I wrote in 2002.
Wow.
And how I wrote the poem was I was in LA and I was volunteering for a Pacifica radio station out there called KPFK. And I listened to it a lot, and I don't know where I was going, to one of my 50 million jobs. I work a lot then and now. And I heard this Afro-Cuban pianist named Omar Sosa come on, and he's talking about he's a jazz artist, and he's talking about his work, and a song comes on. I think it's like Mujer Amarillo or Woman in Yellow. And immediately I knew that had something to do with traditional Yoruba spiritual system. And I loved the song. I ended up going to his set that night and was like a groupie. Got backstage, introduced myself, and he was like, I could tell you're an artist. And I was like, yeah, trying to be all shy. You know how we get shy. Right? People right? Tell me about your art. You be like, Anyway. And I said, yeah, I'm a poet. And he said, well, get up on there and rock with me. And I was like, oh, shit, I wasn't ready. And I said, can I rock with you tomorrow, the next day? He said, sure. So the next day, actually before I go to the set, I still didn't have a poem written, but I had to go to a bimbe. A bimbe is in Santeria. It is a ceremony. And I forgot what they were celebrating, but it was somewhere, I forgot, off the 5 or something like that. Yes.
We're going to do part 2 at the Painter's Palace.
Oh,
what's the
wow.
Painter's Palace?
Oh, that's Celeste's place. That's so beautiful.
Where's that around? Where's it at?
Spread it.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I would like to do a Q&A with you. A live Q&A. I think that would be dope.
Setting up interviews over my interview. That's Jerry Gant.
Doggone.
Dogonian.
I heard somebody grunt when I said that. They were like, "Ooh."
I think I said that. I was like, well, okay. Talk about stars, quasars, and shit.
Oh, man. You gonna hang? We're not gonna be long. You gonna hang?
Yeah, we not. We hopefully not. No, we not. I promise. And okay, and so peace. This is over here. Peace. She I was at this thing that what is it called? An art.
This one?
Art talk.
The artist. Well, we said the artist defines defining cultural revolution.
Come to that. That was I had to take off my earphones. I was deep and I was like, oh man, it was bringing it. There was some really good work.
Oh.
Please attend that. That was phenomenal. I think.
We're just going all
you know what?
over the place.
I have this.
I
have a mantra. I know. We all over the place. But that's an artist. You know what I mean? You thinking multidimensionally. And one of the things, like when people ask me what I am, I say I'm 3 things: artist, activist, and academic. And often those intertwine. And I think we underestimate the intellectual contribution and capacity of artists.
That component, yes.
And so what I saw today was like a lot of levels and depth.
The mixture.
Yeah, a lot of.
And that was my intention.
That.
Yes, that was my intention.
I totally appreciated that. So the academic in me.
So we were at the Rishas. You went back.
So anyway, back to this story. So I was at a bimbe in LA. and it was like a Cuban, Puerto Rican bimbe. And I used to always like to go to those bimbes because they be rocking, right? You know, when I would go to the other ones, it'd be boring, but the Puerto Ricans and the Cubans be rocking. So I'm rocking at the bimbe, in walks the piano dude I met the day before. He was like, oh shit, you legit. I'm like, oh shit, you legit. So I was like, I really got to bring it tonight. So maybe about 2 hours before the performance, I still didn't have a poem. And that looks like this guy I know named Kaia N. So anyway, I still didn't have a poem, and I'm sorry, here I go. I'm getting it. Look, I'm telling my people are from the South. We tell stories. Okay?
I know.
I still didn't have a poem, and I was going through some things at the time because I was having a lot of conflict with some people in the Yoruba community about what was considered proper and all this other bullshit.
Wonderful.
And so when I was in Nigeria, I saw a very different version of what traditional Yoruba spiritual system was. And at that moment, you know, this saying, Orisha is for the people, came to me. And so the poem Orisha in the Ghetto, the hook is like Orisha's something like Orisha is for the people. And so I was like, damn, what does Orisha look like when we're in Compton, Watts, Newark, Harlem, Chicago? You know, what does that look like? And I don't think we've imagined that, or maybe I haven't seen it.
We haven't. Not that I've seen either.
And I wrote the poem. I went, did the set. Omar loved it, rocked it out. I ended up performing with him the rest of the time he was in LA. He invited me up to Oakland at this, it's like, I forgot the name of it, Zori, Zushi's, I forgot the name, Yoshi, I think it's called Yoshi. And I performed there, and he wanted me to travel with him, but he wasn't offering nothing, like not even a travel stipend. I was like, okay, this is where, you know, I shake my hand and say, you know, peace be with you, my brother. And, but out of that, I was like, damn, this would be really good if I could ever make a video. This is in 2002. And over the years, that idea would resurface, and I would ask people, because I wasn't in film, I'm a writer, I'm a poet. It never happened. Maybe about 4 years ago, I bought a camera. And last year, I'm speeding it up, condensing it. Last year, I actually took a job in LA. I was going to move back to LA last year. And I took a job in LA, and I quit. I was like, fuck this job. And I'm from LA, and I was kind of like, fuck this city. To a degree. Not my people, not my family, but because like gentrification, it was real big. And I said, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to see how I could do Orisha in the Ghetto. Mind you, I have no film training. I have none of that. And I was like, well, I need people who are going to reenact the Orishas or whatever it is. So me and my sister, I'm from a large family. There's 5 girls, 1 boy. So one of my sisters and I, we was drinking our wine up in my mama house. Okay. And we was drinking, and I was like, hey, I'm trying to do this thing called Orisha in the Ghetto. She's like, what's Orisha? So I quickly explained it to her. I was like, but Google it. And she was like, well, what Orisha you want me to be? And I was like, I don't know. I wrote, the 7 or 9 main ones, literally put it in a hat. And I had an idea of what I thought she should be, Yemonja. And I was like, man, but I don't want to impose that. I just wanted it to be like a natural thing. Right. Guess what she picked out? Yemonja. And I said, I knew that shit, right? The next morning, wake up like 7 in the morning. So I told her, she was like, so what should I be? I was like, maybe a black mermaid. And so, yeah. And so, and we were all lifeguards. Like I swam, I was in the pool from 4 to 26. So like we're prolific swimmers in my family. And so my sister came out the next day with like a braid like that, like was down to wherever. And we like ripped up some cloth, and we got cowrie shells, and we were just pulling stuff out my mama's closet and out of my stuff. Put together an outfit, went to Dockweiler Beach, which we call like where the black and the Latino people are in LA. And we filmed there. And then she was like, hey, let's go to Manhattan Beach, right? And that's where I used to surf. And that's where I used to surf. At Manhattan Beach. I was like, let's go to Manhattan Beach. That's like the prettier beach. When we go to Manhattan Beach, I know this is long. My sister was like, oh shit, that's Bruce's Beach. I said, what the fuck is Bruce's Beach? Never heard of Bruce's Beach. She said, that's where black people used to live. Looked it up. Little did I know that there was a strip of land on Manhattan Beach that was owned by black people, but were ran out in the early 1900s, like 1930s. So I felt like it was like a sacred, thing that we were doing. And on top of that, we were walking, and people were like so kind of like the response to the people when they saw my sister with this long ass weave ponytail walking, you know what I mean? And they were like, "Oh my God, you're so pretty," and blah blah blah, and all this other stuff. And it was such a transformative experience. I'm glad they turned that fucking truck off. It was such a transformative experience for my sister that I knew that this was divine. That's Orisha in the Ghetto. And it's 15. It's like a 15-part. Okay. It's not on YouTube. The trailer is on Vimeo. But I have OrishaInTheGhetto.com. You might have seen it. It's OrishaInTheGhetto.com. So another thing. So I started just filming. I know this is a long story because this is the first time people really asked me about it, and I haven't been drinking wine.
That's what I'm here for.
So this is an exclusive. World star. Blink, blink, blink. Okay. So I'm not, I'm a professor, so like when I'm in a class, they think I'm like stoic crazy. So anyway, so what happened, my sister had a good experience, and I began to take my mama, my daddy, my nieces, my nephews. Then I went up to the Bay Area because my parents are from the South. My mother's from Louisiana. So a lot of her family migrated to California. So half of us live in the Southern California. The other half of us live in Northern California. So I went up to the Bay. I taped my aunt. She was Shango. And the stories that I was getting and the reception from the people as I was taping it was so powerful. I was like, this is not a video.
Right.
This is something much larger. Right. And so then it became a series that explores the experiences of black people in the United States currently, 15 different themes. So some of the first one installment I did was called The Black Divine.
Nice.
And that is our concept of what we think black divinity is, and like just kind of like asking black people, what do you think about like your concept of African gods, right? Because in this country, African gods is such a foreign concept, even when it's presented in front of us.
Yes.
And
lay right in our hand.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
No.
And if people ask me like, what does Orisha in the Ghetto look like? I really tried to take the most fucked up parts of the hood and place Orisha in it, because I wanted to juxtapose those to show how like in like the worst of circumstances we exist in, we're still beautiful people, and I think we've lost that, and that's Orisha in the Ghetto.
So now what I'm gonna do is, how did Bisa Washington get into that?
So Bisa she is Oshun. She plays Oshun in Ironbound. I mean, what's that? The Waterway, and is that in Ironbound?
Riverfront. Yes.
Riverfront. The Riverfront.
Northwood. No. Yeah, that's Northwood. Yes.
So there's an artist named Bisa Washington who
I've interviewed Bisa.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
Totally, and she was my neighbor up until maybe about like a year and a half ago, and she actually was the first person I befriended in Newark. And how I befriended her, she could tell you the story. I was on my balcony talking to somebody, and I heard some drums. And I used to dance African dance, and black people and drums. So I like literally hung up on the person I was talking to, followed the drums, walked up in her house, didn't even know her. Okay, and she had like a she had a ceremony going on, a Yoruba ceremony.
She has her own altars and everything.
And everything, yes, so she had a ceremony going on. I just walked up in there, started dancing, and people were like, "Okay," and then maybe like an hour later, they were like, "And who are you?" So that's how I met Bisa.
That's awesome.
And so as a result of that, she calls me Suge, like Suge Avery off of The Color Purple, because she said I reminded her of Suge walking down the street at the juke joint. When she at the juke joint, she walks in, "Daddy, I say now." Yeah. Anyway,
I'm just gonna tie this up. I'm gonna say a few things. I love the history of how you created the poem and built on that. I think it's important for artists to see that. Sometimes it takes years before that ideas can really manifest.
Word.
The other thing I love is that your storytelling comes through and through in everything you do. Even when you speak here, your stories upon story, they have so much flavor. And I'm getting lost because Elisa's watching us, and she just saw my eyes one time. You just took me, and I'm like envisioning the waters and and I think that's a beautiful thing, because other writers and other story writers, they need to understand themselves and embrace themselves as artists, and that allows them to go forward.
And I appreciate that. Can I say a couple more things?
Yeah, because my battery is low, because I don't have a production team here.
It's all good. It's no problem. It's all good.
But I don't want to lose this footage. But go.
Okay, very, very quickly. So this brother here, saw me doing poetry, and I think a lot of people ask me why.
4 years ago.
Probably it was like when Barack first
That's right,
got,
sure was.
Elected.
Because Trusty was there, right? That's true.
And well, I used to actually have a poetry venue in LA called Revolutionary Poets Cafe, and it was all woman ran, and it was in Leimert Park, which is the historic Black district, and I did a lot of poetry for many, many, many years, and I stopped because I simply had to live. Like, you know, poems, poetry, art is not, you just don't pull it out your ass. You know what I mean? You have to get inspired. For me, you have to get inspired. Yeah. It is an evolution, as Jerry was talking about. So, like, when people are like, oh, why you don't do poetry? I was like, I had to fucking get my heart broken. I had to get married. I had to get fired a couple of more times. I had to get evicted. I had to cuss out my boss. I had to fall in love. I had to do all these things, and I'm still not ready to write pieces. And so but I'm still an artist, and so that's why I'm doing filmmaking, I'm doing writing, and so on and so forth. Arc Republic.
We have to.
We'll talk about that later.
We didn't even get to Arc. Oh my God, we didn't even get to Arc Republic.
We'll get to that later. That'll be number 2.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna see how much time we got. Peace, y'all. Oh, where can they find you? Other than the blog.
Like what? Like what?
Instagram, IG.
Oh. I think the best way to get in contact with me is, I do have personal, like, social media, but right now, get me on ARKRepublic.com. That's Instagram. That's, what's the other one? Facebook.
Snapchat.
Arc Republic Reader, and not Snapchat, and Twitter. Not that. But if you want to hit me up personally, KaiaShivers.me. KAIA Shivers.me is my website. My Instagram is Kaia Shivers. My Twitter is Kaia Shivers. My Facebook is, I think, Kaia.N Shivers. Some shit.
Continue success. We look to see those films on a bigger platform. Continue doing your work. Peace. We're out.
West Coast.
Now artists go recreate your world.